If something happened across city, I don't know, natural disaster, financial disaster, war, COVID 3.0, something like that, and poof, Cross City Church is off the map. And a person has been here for a year and a half at Cross City. How would they fare? I once had a friend, maybe I've said this from the pulpit or not, but he was in our church in Corona, California, and he woke up one morning with his Best Buy t-shirt on, polo, getting ready to go to work, and all of a sudden, up at his door showed the INS, who handcuffed him and took him away and put him in deporting agencies for 5 months because, unbeknownst to him, who was just as much an American citizen as you are in his mind, his dad had snuck him into the country when he was 1 and didn't tell him. So life went from like this job, education, girlfriend, everything on the straight up and up to all of a sudden being in custody, handcuffed, moved around the United States for 4 months and not knowing the future. And the question was, his name is Ludwig, how did he fare? When all of a sudden church was gone to him, how did he fare? Well, the answer is he fared amazingly well because he's equipped. So that boy got to town. He's showing up in these detention agencies, ends up leading Bible studies, leading people to Jesus in detention agencies all over the United States. And then through the whole thing, he ends up being a missionary back in the country they're going to send him to anyway. Amazing pieces of it all. But here's my question. If a person comes across city and hangs out and says, I want to be a part for a year and a half, I believe we have the responsibility to help make them seaworthy within a year and a half. They need to be okay. So the name we have for this is our equipping pathway, and we've been thinking about this and working on this for a number of months now. And I thank you for the people that have been part of this and aren't going to get mentioned this morning. But when we think about what it means to be part of Cross City Church, we are the family of God. And every single soul that walks through those back doors or through the front doors of our houses and our missional communities, we believe as pastors that God calls us to do our best to equip them as the saints to live life. So I just kind of want to walk you through some thoughts. And number one, we want to invite you into this because we want to see you equipped. And number two, we want to invite you into this because you have to help do the equipping of other people. So user and giver are both these two things. And so I just want to explain this on this super high, well-attended Sunday, which is really so helpful. But so I might have to make a video about this too. So we think through our equipping pathway. Here's a text in Colossians 1:27-29 that says this. Him we proclaim, warning everyone and teaching everyone with all wisdom. So we're about Jesus, and we're going after everybody that's a part of the church. That we may present everyone mature in Christ. Not that we may present them faithful to attend Sunday mornings, or faithful giving of tithers, or faithful non-potty mouthers, or faithful whatever. But every single person, we need to present everyone mature or complete in Christ. And then he says, and for this I toil, struggling with all of his energy, he powerfully works within me. So this is the words of Paul. Paul's saying, this is what we do. We get after, we work really hard at taking the precious souls that God brings to the church and really equipping them into joyful, thriving maturity. So for us here at Cross City, here's how we're thinking about it right now. There's two levels, secure and strengthening. Secure and strengthening. Now, I know those aren't parallel words in grammar, but they're on purpose. So we believe that with a person being here about a year and a half of being part of Cross City, just simply being in the normal rhythms of our church, being here on Sundays, being inside a missional community, and attending and being part of a DNA, if you're doing those things and taking a couple of our introduction classes, we think that within a year and a half, you should be secure, seaworthy. So if INS picks you up in the morning and shuttles you off, you'll be able to handle it. And then from secure, we move into strengthening. It's a process of always strengthening, not just strong, right? We are people that are always growing in the Lord, refreshing what we know. So here's our pathway and the ways we get to those. Number one, there's 5 competencies: to read, to pray, to gospel, to think, and to church. We're going after those 5 things: read, pray, gospel, think, and church. When we think about reading, what we're hoping for within a year and a half is that you'd have the ability to read the Bible and find answers. You could feel comfortable cracking open the Bible anywhere in the Bible, and you can read it, and if you don't know what it says, you can find answers for that. Strengthening is the ability to study, interpret, and teach it. The ability to actually get those things and go deep. The second being to pray. Within a year and a half, the ability to pray confidently and pray with others. I know some of you he thinks, how does that not work? But the other half of us goes, I don't feel confident in prayer, right? So how to feel confident in prayer and pray with others. Strengthening is the ability to lead others in prayer. So when you do show up at work and some people want to pray, you can actually lead a little prayer time more than asking them to share prayer requests. Third, to gospel. The ability to shape life by the gospel and robustly explain it. Strengthening is the ability to deal with apologetics and epistemology, some of those heavier end things. But the first half, being able to actually know the gospel and explain it, and to shape your life around that. Fourth, to think. The ability to know basic theology and a worldview. Basic things that we would actually teach all of our kids, the core concepts of who God is and how he thinks and what he's doing in this world. And the strengthening side being the ability to explain theology and possess comprehensive worldview. Really where you have an increasingly hard time talking to anybody about anything without running into the gospel as part of like the core fundamental explanation of why you want to be a pilot, why you like to knit, why you have a job as a trash man, why you have chosen to stay at home with your kids, or why you've chosen to send your kids here. Those things, it all comes back to the gospel. And then finally, to church. The ability to explain the essential role of a local church and how to find one. So you need to know what it is, what a church is, because it's not simply this service. And you need to know how to find one, because God's probably going to move you around throughout your life. And so you need to have the skills to be able to discover where that is and what that looks like. And the strengthening side being the ability to assess a church and identify good church leadership. We'll teach you how to do that. So here's the tools that we do to get to those things. Number one is honestly basically just the normal things that we do. Normal MC inclusion, normal MC dinners. We do a little thing called Crossview. You'll hear more about that. Normal DNA studies. So for us, the MCs are these small groups of families. Right? We have 7 of them in our church right now. Hopefully in the spring here, we might bust out an 8th. But it's where we are God's people. We are the brothers and sisters who belong to our great adopted Father, and so we function as family. And those MCs have dinners. And in the dinners, we do different things. Sometimes we pray, sometimes we study, sometimes we share testimonies. So normal MC dinners, normal DNA studies, which are smaller groups, men and women, where we actually study deeply and share our hearts. And within those MCs and DNAs, it used to be called the Glimpse Study, but you guys did a survey, and you like the name Foundations of Gospel Living Study, just a little bit longer than Glimpse, but we're going with that. So we use those in the DNA studies, but that's actually a key part of it. The way it's designed is to help put your feet on the ground in theology and gospel ability to read. So the Foundations of Gospel Living Study, and also our basic cross-city memory verses that we put together this past year. The third one, Gospel Workshop, we'll be doing this in April. We'll let you know about that. Weekly prayer times and intro studies. Just those basic things. Over a year and a half, we think that if you're involved in these things, you will adequately become secure in your ability to handle yourself and the ability to read, and the ability to pray, ability to gospel, ability to think, ability to church. Now, after that point, where most of us are at probably, is the strengthening side. And the things that we do here to help in strengthening are all of the front parts that we do, but then we add a few things. We add these anvil studies. So you'll hear about, hey, there's an anvil study for men or anvil study for women, and that's a little more of an intensive time where we actually do some reading and pile a bunch of verses together, and you make an ugly little bullet paper and that you come and share with it, and we discuss it for 2 hours kind of at a high-end piece. And at the end of it, you have your own study notes on that topic, and you stick it in some juicy spot where you can pull it up on your phone, because you may be smarter than me, but I find myself in conversations all the time talking to people about things in the scripture where I can't quite remember all the verses and things that I've studied so hard to figure out. So I go to my Evernote and find my workbench on sexuality, find my workbench on giving, whatever it is. I find it there, and it's my notes. You would have the same thing. Special seminars we do, like a marriage seminar or parenting seminar, our gospel workshop. I put it there in strengthening because we really love for you to do it once or twice or 3 times so we can really refine, try stuff out, find where you're broken and you don't know how to explain things and speak things. Then finally, our Learning Week lectures, which happen once a month in our MC dinners. And finally, a whole bunch of reading resources that we'll put out before you to really go deeper at that next level. Greater than any time in history now, We have more written resources by more scholars than we've ever had. And so we want to be able to lift up some of the best of those things and put them out to you. Instead of asking you to come here and listen to us talk for 8 hours, you can read for 8 hours. And do it in the comfort of your own home with your easy chair, but really kind of process those things. And so to take advantage of the older saints that God has taken home already. So this is our equipping pathway. We really want to challenge you to think about yourself. If you're going to be part of Cross City, we want to say, hey, we want to help you make you secure. Within a year and a half, if you just simply live in the life and the patterns God's given us here, you will probably become fairly secure. So if life changes something up, and God sweeps you away to some foreign land like Afghanistan or California, then you should be able to handle yourself. You should be able to read. You should be able to pray and help other people pray. You should be able to speak the gospel clearly. You should be able to think through a worldview around you, and you should be able to find a church. And if you can't find a church, help start a church. That should all happen within a year and a half of you being here, just simply by being in the normal rhythms, patterns of our church. And then after that, we want you to become strong and mature and to thrive. And so we want to challenge you to look forward to these ways and become strong and strengthening, ever so strengthening. And so we want to challenge you to invest your heart that way. But then also we want to call you to not simply take care of yourself, but to take a notice around, there's a bunch of people around you here that also need that help. They need that love. They need that encouragement. And some of them are behind you in the faith, and some of them are forward to you in the faith. And you help both sides of that. So this is a group project and a way of thinking, and something we want to invite people to, because we believe pastorally at the bottom level, God has called us to be the church and to love the children of God and to take care of every single person that comes in here wanting to understand the gospel and wanting to experience God's family and wanting to be cared for in the way that God calls us to. And so part of that is God has called us to raise them up and equip them. So just wanted to put that out there, because over Family Week, after Family Month, this upcoming month here, where we kind of shut down a lot of our normal rhythms, it's time to rethink. It's time to figure out and assess yourself, and where do you need to grow? What's the next spot the Lord puts his finger on in your life going, all right, this right here, let's grow in this. And so we encourage you to do that, and encourage you to not only taste the joy that God gives in that, but the help that then is brought through that in you to the people around you. So Equipping Pathway 101, welcome to it, and we encourage you to think about it. You'll probably be receiving a couple more resources fairly soon, an email. And then, since half our church is gone today, probably a lovely email video of me doing the same thing. You could probably just skip that one if you were here this morning. So all you kids out there that are in school, your parents are in school too. All this earthly school, this just gets you ready for heavenly school, where you really learn about God and you learn about who he is and get our hearts ready for him. And I know you guys are doing homework right now and going to school and having recesses and all that kind of stuff. But now your parents, man, they have to study and they have to grow in their understanding in who God is, so that they can sing these songs and really mean those things. And they can talk to the people around them that need Jesus so badly. So kids, you know what you should do? You should ask your parents about what they're going to study. That'd be a really good understanding. Ask them, what are they going to study and why are they going to study it? It'd be a really fun conversation, I guarantee you. All right?